The President of the United States has many very important roles within the government. These roles are influenced by the expectations of the President, the political parties in the government, the election process, and the responsibility of running the country single-handedly.
There was a different set of standards in the earlier stages of the political parties. One of their main tasks was to try to persuade the American people to join their party, as more and more people were allowed to vote. The reasoning behind this was they wanted to gain control within all parts of the government. For example, in the 1830s, the Democratic Party became very dominant and settled. Because they make up the government, parties had to unite to help fix some of the larger as well as the smaller issues in the country. The two first parties, the Federalists and the Democratic Republic, they had to come together to fix some of the problems. As time went on, some roles were added for the political parties to accomplish, as well as overseeing the election process. Both Democratic and Republican parties had to choose candidates for the local, state, and national level. Now that time has evolved, the government has set up several branches in which the political parties choose and help promote candidates for. They also decide whether or not if bills should go through, depending on the certain beliefs of the parties and which party is in control of the government. The party leaders seek committee hearings to solidify already determined plans for the government. Finally, they must keep the government organized. The party in power is responsible for thousands of appointments, including judgeships. They also organize the three branches of government.
The Electoral College is a process that was established by the Founding Fathers as a compromise between the President being elected by Congress's vote and the President being elected by the people or by a popular vote. This process consists of the selection of electors, where electors meet to vote for the President and Vice President. There are 538 electors, and a candidate needs 270 votes to be elected. Each state's number of electors is determined by the number of representatives they have in the Senate, which is always 2, plus however many representatives the state has in the House of Representatives. The District of Columbia has 3 electors as well, even though it's not technically a state.
When you vote for president, you are actually voting for your candidate's electors, who have the final say. Most of the time, whichever candidate gets more votes within the state is who the electors will elect in a winner-take-all scenario. However, in 2 states, Nebraska and Maine, the electors can elect whoever they want. After one president is finally decided upon, he will be faced with a seemingly impossible task, acting as the figurehead and leader of the country and its citizens. Hopefully, the final candidate elected into office is a strong leader, decision-maker, and spokesperson, because the role of the president requires one to possess these skills. The President of the United States must be able to keep peace within the White House, the nation, and the world. Within the executive branch, the President can appoint federal employees if given approval. He can both sign and veto bills. He is in charge of advising Congress. However, if the President is convicted of unlawful activity, impeachment is the next course of action taken. While the President can pardon almost all cases, he can't oppose one of impeachment. As the chief executive leader, the President will work with numerous government agencies such as the CIA and FBI to ensure that they are operating smoothly. Along with keeping order in the executive branch, the American president must also keep his country happy and fulfill its citizens' needs. Being the chief of state means the president has to act as a figurehead of the nation. This involves less official-type duties such as attending charity and sporting events and giving out medals at awards ceremonies. The president is the main representative of his political party and its desires. Even outside of the country, the President of the United States still has a very large pair of shoes to fill. As chief diplomat, he must establish strong relationships and allies with other nations and meet with their government leaders. In times of war, he relies on these allies to assist the country. As Commander-in-Chief, the President acts as the head of the military and is in charge of training and commanding troops. While America uses a single executive system, there have been many debates over adopting the plural executive structure to run the country.
Although it may seem strange for more than one person to be in charge of the country, there are many alternatives to having just one chief executive. During the Constitutional Convention, there was talk of having multiple executives lead the country instead of just one president. They discussed having 2 or 3 executives, and Benjamin Franklin even suggested a council of 12. Both options have their advantages and disadvantages. With only one president, oftentimes decisions are made more quickly since there is only one person to make the decision. The President of the United States, in particular, also has to be very confident, respectable, and a good leader, since he is the spokesperson and representative of our country. Since there is only one executive, there is really no risk of fighting or tension within that part of the government. At the same time, having only one president has some disadvantages as well. There is always the possibility that the president may be too power hungry and the country could turn into more of a monarchy. Also, not all sides or parties within the government are represented fairly. This is especially true for political parties. While one side has a president in office, the other side is mostly just trying to build themselves up and prepare to win the next election, instead of focusing on fixing issues within the country. This also creates a lot of tension between the parties. Although Americans may find having multiple leaders odd, there are many cases where it has worked, and there are also a lot of positives that come with multiple executives. First of all, since there would be multiple leaders, each one could be in charge of a specific section, party, or department instead of having one person do it all. For example, one executive could focus on foreign affairs while the other could focus on domestic affairs. This could help create more harmony and union within the government since they would all be represented fairly and would all have the same power. This would be beneficial especially within the political parties since each group would be represented fairly within the government, and leaders would do more to make both sides happy. Also, even though each leader could work separately, they would also have to work together in decision making or passing laws. This would be very beneficial because decisions could be made quickly, or if not quickly, at least they would be more thought out. Sometimes leaders will act rashly in times of stress or panic, but having multiple decision makers could help make better decisions, since two opinions are usually better than one. Also, all sides of the issue would be addressed, so the decision might be able to make all sides happy instead of just one. As always, there is the potential that there may be a lot of tension or disagreement between the leaders, which could then cause bigger issues within the government or even the country. This disagreement could also cause issues not to be solved at all, or in a reasonable amount of time. If they argued too much, that may cause decisions to take longer than necessary, or it could lead to other issues and the original issue may not even be solved. Obviously, each leadership style has its positives and negatives, but both could work really well. Both Rome and Sparta made use of multiple executives, and they were some of the biggest and most powerful countries of their time. The U.S. has only one executive, and it is one of the top countries in the world.